Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. The EFL season is up and running, and for Middlesbrough, it was not a happy return at all. Got the season underway against Millwall on Saturday, and fell to a 1-0 defeat in the end, thanks to a Romain SA goal in the second half at the Riverside Stadium. And it was just a disappointing afternoon all round, really. I think even looking at the team sheet to start off with, you were looking at the team and thinking, I can't really see where this win necessarily is going to come from. There wasn't really any standout names on there, no match winners. The players from last season who typically won us this kind of game weren't available for a variety of reasons, which we'll get into. And ultimately it was a day that was just a little bit blunt and disjointed, really. A lot of the players who were in the team did okay, nothing special at all. The passing style of play, the Carrick ball, which we became so famous for last season, just wasn't really present, I guess. It just wasn't really flowing as it normally does. And as I said, it was just sort of blunt and disjointed, and doesn't really feel like we'd kind of like hit our flow really at that point. There was a couple of positives. Hayden Hackney was very positive once again. He's really growing into himself. Obviously, going into this season, expectations are a lot higher for him after his sort of breakthrough season for Middlesbrough last year. He's taken the number 7 shirt, which is obviously a shirt of real responsibility. It shows just how important he's going to be for Michael Carrick this season. And he certainly didn't disappoint in the centre of midfield. It was a real bright spot. He was looking to get on the ball as often as possible. He wasn't just passing it backwards and sideways. He was very much trying to get the ball on the half turn and surge forward into those little pockets of space to try and make things happen. And he did carve out a couple of openings for his teammates as well. But ultimately, it just wasn't to be. And I think what we basically saw was an attack that needs a lot of work before the end of the transfer window. In terms of the new signings, in terms of how they got on, Seny Dieng started in goal. It was his first competitive game since he signed from QPR in a £2 million deal. The sort of replacement for Zach Steffen coming into this season, and boy, was he a replacement for Zach Steffen. His starting position at times, it was anxiety-inducing for a lot of people around me in the East Stand. I enjoyed it personally, more than comfortable coming off his line, coming outside his penalty area, and even going into the opposition half when Middlesbrough were on the attack. He's very much a sweeper type of player. He's someone who wants to get on the ball. He's happy to push as high up as possible. It's clearly something that Michael Carrick's asked him to do, as it was something that Zach Steffen did last season. It was just, to put it bluntly, he almost made Zach Steffen look cautious last season with some of the positions that he was sort of taking up. I was really impressed with him. He was comfortable on the ball. He was happy to take the ball and start off attacking moves, but also he pulled off a couple of really impressive saves as well, which shows that he's not just going to be someone who is going to be a sort of addition into the attacking phases of play. Morgan Rodgers started in attack for Middlesbrough. He did an all right job. He worked hard. He tried to stretch the Millwall defence by making runs into the channels and that sort of thing. He had a couple of opportunities which he didn't really take. So it's kind of hard to assess because I'm not entirely convinced that he's going to be the answer moving forward in attack. We will get on to transfers in a little bit, but he's someone who may supplement with a couple of goals over the course of the season. Certainly don't expect him to be getting anywhere near the sort of 10 or 15 goals that we're going to be hoping for from a striker if we're pushing for promotion. But it wouldn't surprise me if he contributes 6, 7, 8 goals over the campaign, which will be a big help. But can we pin our goal-scoring hopes on him this season? No, I don't think so. And Sammy Silvera, he came on in the second half, and he looks like a really exciting player. It's the first time I'd been able to see him in the flesh this year, but I've seen a lot of clips on YouTube and then the highlights from Middlesbrough's friendlies, and he's just a real breath of fresh air. Gets on the ball, happy to try and take on a defender. Has a trick, has a real burst of pace. Even had an excellent shot from outside the area, which went just over the bar, which was probably our best chance of the game at the Riverside Stadium. And yeah, certainly a sign of things to come, I'm sort of hoping. He was on the bench for that game. He will be trying to get up to speed in the Championship. But no, I'm kind of hoping that we'll be seeing a lot more of him, because put bluntly, Middlesbrough just really didn't show much in the way of attacking intent or I suppose direct running at all in that first game of the season. It was all very safe. It was all very trying to pass into pockets in midfield, but the movement wasn't sort of there. It just didn't really click. And I think once Silvera came on, it really just gave Millwall a problem that they had to deal with. It put them under pressure. It was no coincidence that when he came on, we did look a lot more likely to score. And so, yeah, that's certainly something that I'll be looking to see more of from him moving forward, possibly in the Carabao Cup against Huddersfield, or maybe next weekend when we play Coventry again. Yeah, when we go to the Ricoh Arena, if that's what it's still called now. Yeah, there was a couple of funny moments as well from the game against Millwall, which amused me. Morgan Rodgers, there was a moment when he was through on goal and the defender came in and intercepted and booted it out for a corner. It was a bit of a greasy pitch on Saturday, you might have noticed, because it was absolutely hammering down before the game and at the start of the match. And he jumped up in a cool fashion to try and grab onto the crossbar, but slipped and landed flat on his back in the goal to cheers from the south stand, which amused me. There was also the clip of Duncan Watmore, which has gone viral on social media, where he came off the pitch and started making his way towards the Middlesbrough bench before realising his error, putting his head in his hands and with a little wry smile on his face, kind of subtly scuttling off towards the Millwall bench again, which was pretty funny. Yeah, little word on Watmore as well, because it was really impressive on Saturday. He caused all sorts of problems for our defenders. Darragh Lenihan in particular, who just didn't really seem to know how to deal with him. He was kind of backing off, and the amount of times that Watmore seemed to pick up the ball and just run at our defence and cause problems was pretty astonishing, really. And to be honest, for a lot of the game, it looked like he was going to be the person to make the breakthrough and make the difference on the day. But yeah, in the end, all that he had to speak of was that little clip, which has made him something of a social media sensation. Yeah, there was some really good news and some positives. That came from the weekend. Some high-profile additions on the bench, I guess. Josh Coburn was back on there, which was progress after his injury during pre-season. Johnny Howson not only was on the bench, but actually made it onto the pitch as well, which was great to see. It sounds like he was in training for a couple of days last week, and so while he wasn't up to speed in any way, shape or form, I think Howson's natural fitness and desire to get on the pitch was enough for Carrick to put his trust in him and get him on the pitch. And yeah, he looked comfortable. He looked impressive when he came on. That might have been because Dan Barlaser didn't really look all that great during the game against Millwall. Gave the ball away quite a lot. Seemed to be the root of a lot of our problems in possession. It's just one game. He's a good player, and so I think he will come good over the course of the campaign. But I think when Howson came on, him and Hackney, that sort of relationship just really showed what it's about. They played alongside each other for much of last season, and yeah, that pairing in midfield for me is still the best pairing to take us forward this season. Obviously, we've got the Chuba Akpom situation as well, which is still rumbling on. It was an interesting decision, really, from Carrick to put him on the bench at the weekend. I was quite surprised. I didn't really see the team sheet until after I'd seen the teams warming up, and I noticed him warming up with the rest of the players, and thought, oh, that's interesting, given that he hasn't played a single minute of pre-season action. Obviously, from my point of view, it seemed like a bit of a statement from the player, from the club, really, to say that he's very much still a part of the plans. We don't know what's going on in terms of his contract. He's got 12 months left on his deal. The transfer window, there's just over 3 weeks left of the transfer window, and Sheffield United are reportedly interested. For me, I think he would have signed a contract by now if he was desperate to stay and if he was that intent on staying. But it seems that he's going to be kind of seeing out his options, really, I guess, over the coming weeks. And that'll be interesting to see whether he does actually sign that deal and stick around. But the fact that he was included on the bench, he was included in the matchday squad, Michael Carrick said last week that he's still our player, he's still under contract, and so it's not a sort of situation where he seems to be being, I guess, isolated from the team in preparation for him leaving. He does still seem to be part of the group. Middlesbrough put him forward on EFL launch day last week for an interview, which would have been a bold move if he was going to be moving on, or it looked likely that he was going to be moving on. So if you were to ask me what my prediction is at this point, I would imagine, as things stand, he'll probably still be here at the end of the summer transfer window, but you just never know. You never know what's going to happen in terms of these contract negotiations. Obviously, Middlesbrough are in a bit of a tricky situation because if he does stay beyond the summer transfer window and he doesn't sign a new contract, then he would be able to sign pre-contract terms with another club from January the 1st, which basically means that we are taking the gamble on losing him for nothing, which is something that we do not want to do, considering he scored 29 goals last season and was the Championship's player of the season. So we can't really afford to lose him for nothing. So it is a situation that needs cleared up. But for me, the fact that he was involved in the matchday squad against Millwall was a big positive, and the hope will now be that we see him a little bit against either Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup or against Coventry next week, even if it is just a case of him coming on for 15-20 minutes, getting onto the pitch and starting to build up that fitness. I think in terms of the week ahead, as I've mentioned, we've got a couple of games coming up, Huddersfield and Coventry. We really need to put it right after the Millwall defeat. You do not want to be going into the second or third week of the season on the back of 3 games without a win, particularly when you're a club like Middlesbrough who are going for promotion this season, which means that expectations are higher. I think what we're looking for is really some signs of progress. I think there's only really so much that Michael Carrick can do with the squad that he's got at the moment. Yes, the hope will be that they can get a result. Huddersfield, we should be able to get a result against them and progress, although it depends whether Carrick takes the opportunity to rotate his squad and give some minutes to some of the new boys that came in, people like Alex Gilbert from Brentford. Obviously Martin Piero's come back. It might be an opportunity to give him a chance as well. But hopefully that should be a result where we can get some get a win, get some confidence within the squad going into Coventry next week, which, as we know from the end of last season, is going to be a tight and cagey affair once again. There's going to be a little bit of needle given how last season ended, it's anyone's prediction really how that one will finish. But I think from Middlesbrough's point of view, the main focus has to be on the transfer market, because as we've been saying beforehand and as we've been saying now after the Millwall opener, we desperately need some new players on board. We need a new striker. Morgan Rodgers, for me, isn't the guy to lead our attack this season. Chuba Akpom, we don't know what's going to be going on with him. Even on the basis that he stays, I think we do still need one more striker to replace Cameron Archer, who was on loan last season. We also need a left back. Hayden Coulson tried really hard on Saturday, and for me, he looked all right. But I think that was probably the sort of ceiling of what we can expect from Hayden Coulson. I think we do need a player who offers more of an attack. Ryan Giles got, I think it was 11 assists last season, which is a lot to provide. And I'm not saying that the new left back who comes in has to replicate that. But given just how important he was to our creative threat last season, we really need someone who can be coming in and offering a sort of attacking threat down that left-hand side to add an extra dimension to the team. I'm sure other players in the team will be hoping to pick up that slack, so to speak, a little bit as well. I think Riley McGree will be hoping to boost his numbers this season. I think Hayden Hackney will as well. We hope we're hoping to add goals and assists to his name, as will the other players in the team as well. In terms of an attacker, Chuba Akpom obviously got 29 goals last season. The hope is that he'll stick around and he'll be able to get somewhere near that kind of tally. Somewhere 15-20 goals plus would be another great return from him. But we also have to replace the goals that Cameron Archer, I guess, took away with him as well. As I mentioned before, I don't think Morgan Rodgers is the guy who's going to be getting 15 goals plus, and we need goals in that team. We need to be able to do what we did last season and more, really, to get us promoted, which is the ultimate target. So I think any talk of having a player who can do a job in inverted commas, or someone who can slot in and they can maybe get up to speed. I know people were speaking about Josh Coburn and that sort of thing. I think the challenge for Middlesbrough this season is that they need someone who can come in and really hit the ground running from day one. It's not about someone who will grow into it and can probably just about make it as a decent or good championship player. You need players who can hit the ground running, and a striker who will guarantee 15-20 goals as a minimum, really, if you are going to be going for the automatic promotion places or failing that, standing a chance in the playoffs. So I think they're going to be the main focuses this season. It will be interesting to see what happens. As it stands at the moment, it doesn't really feel like there's any transfer targets on the horizon, although Middlesbrough do like to keep a bit of a lid on transfer rumours and that sort of thing. So there's often not that many rumours flying around, and as we've seen with a lot of the business this summer, a lot of them have come, like the reports have gone straight into agreed deals as opposed to transfer targets. So I wouldn't worry too much about the lack of names circulating in the media. I think the hope is that just over the next couple of weeks we will get some new players on board, and we can start to strengthen this team, because the fixtures are coming thick and fast in August, and as we go into September, we do not want to be miles off the pace as we are going for promotion this season. So that's a bit of a recap of the weekend and where we stand at the start of this week. From my point of view, I really appreciate the support that I've already had on this YouTube channel. Posted a couple of things on here already which have gone down really well, which I'm really happy about, and thrilled to get some positive feedback from you all. I think I'll be hoping to do a little bit more over the coming days and the coming weeks, to really just test out a few different bits and pieces to see what kind of things you're looking for. But if you do have any feedback, anything that you would like me to discuss, please do send me a message on social media, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter or whatever it's called these days. Any feedback will be very much appreciated, and also if you do like what you're watching, please do like and subscribe. And I will be back very soon with more content about Middlesbrough, but about the EFL and football in general. So yes, I will catch up with you soon.